Combustion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Been running the game with my team making plays. Talking 80, my G's, wanting jewels in this place. Surrounded by dogs, keep the quarterback safe. I'm the one with the plans, they gon' do what I say. The game is not over, we don't celebrate in the end zone. We don't got no time in the wait. H-time run down, we don't premeditate. We just go and get to it, we got them on skates. If the game go into overtime, kicking the overdrive, we gon' be first at the finish line. Play looking full, but I finish mine. Can I get seconds? We gon' line up like it's dinner time. We put in work till we get us a ring. Super Bowl season, we running the scene. H-time the home of the realest that breathe. Keep your face down when you talk to the king. What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the H-Town Rundown. This is your boy AD, and I got my co-host in the building. We got Mike G, we got Auntie Swan, and we got Jules. How's everybody's great Thursday going?
Doing good. We're doing well.
Going good.
How's y'all's?
Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, we had some excitement today. The Houston Texans did introduce their new offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, to everyone. Yes, Yvonne, you're on time. We're all on time. Shout out Nick Caley for coming in and answering a few questions. I think the interview lasted 10, 15 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
You know, shout out Yvonne Big Mike. What up, Sal? What up, Yvonne? Definitely was a pretty good podcast. I want to know y'all thoughts on the podcast. What did y'all get out of that?
Press conference podcast.
Yeah, podcast press conference, yeah. Started with a P. But yeah, what did y'all get out of that press conference? I'll start with Jules.
I liked it. I mean, because I had my concerns because he's the first time OC. They did talk about that. They talked about that's a question. The second year in a row, the second time in a row that you went for an OC who didn't have experience doing play calling. He said, "I'm hiring a guy who I feel can do the job, regardless if they knew how to do call plays or not. I'm hiring for energy and a person who loves football." So I like that. I like the fact that like we always say, he's not married to a scheme, and he pointed out that he gonna take what he learns from both times, mostly from New England, but he gonna take a little bit from everybody to know he got and build an offense around the players he got. So I really enjoyed it. To me, I think the idea about it is we can't do research on this man because he's saying that he's gonna do what's best for the offense and best for the players and best for the wideouts, the receivers, the tight ends. And he loves tight ends. He coached tight ends, so tight ends is especially for him that he's gonna really try to, I think, enforce his will because that's his wheelhouse.
Yeah, like Yvonne said, he kept saying he loves tight ends.
Hey, that's pause, but we know.
2025, Jules. They say we can't pause no more. But go ahead, Swan. What did you get out of it?
Similar to Jules, the one thing that he kept honing on, and I see it as a plus coming from New England, as well as going to the Rams and Bay. But Belichick was a stickler on details, discipline, the final points. That is the one thing everybody always praised about Belichick regarding that. So if he's taking anything from them, that's the one thing he kept honing on was communication, being fundamentally sound, and that's something that we lacked significantly. And I like the fact that he kept referencing the fact that it's about CJ first, and he also pointed out inside out, which tells me O-line is in addition to tight ends is very important.
Mm-hmm. Mike.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what Jules and Swan are saying. I really like how he emphasized, we're not going to put a square peg in a round hole. We're going to let our personnel dictate play calling. And obviously, he's not pigeonholed to one system. Having worked with Sean McVay in Los Angeles, having worked with the new O-line coach in New England. I didn't even know their time overlapped there. And obviously he has some past experience with Casario, so I think it's a good hire. I like what he said at the press conference. So
Yeah, what I took from it, I think Juice touched on it as well, is that it's a game plan offense.
Right.
Game by game, you're not stuck to the scheme. I think he made a quote saying that the players don't have to adjust to his scheme. He's adjusting to the players. So that is a positive. That's something different. Is that he's open to different suggestions, different opportunities for players and coaches to speak their mind, which is something that I don't think has been a part of this offense since Bobby Sloyd got here. It was either now this is based on all the reports. It's either my way or the highway with Bobby Sloyd, and this is a little different. Different mindset, different aura, as they would say.
Right.
I'm coming into the building. Yvonne said using player strengths. Again, we talk about inside out and talking about the offensive line. He did mention that with the offensive line because he was asked at least 4 times about the offensive line, and he did answer those questions. Started talking about how to help the protection, which is about communication, which is something that we've all been saying all season long. That you don't get beat on those stunts and things of that nature without having, without having bad communication.
Right. And
So,
I was hoping when he says communication that he gives CJ a little more authority
mhm.
to make adjustments to move coverages to make audible and that communication from the center they can have better communication and that can go inside out. It can go from guards to tackles to tight ends and they can shift it and they can make the proper calls to protect it because it takes all.
Shout out Shep. Appreciate you for coming
And
through,
I
bro.
think he was speaking to that, Jules, because he kept referencing about all of them had to see
Mm-hmm.
it the same way. They all
Correct.
have to be in sync. So CJ, yes, needs to be able to audible and see it, but if the blocking and they don't see it, it doesn't matter if he has freedom.
Right.
So that's what I loved about it was that all of y'all are gonna have to see it the same way.
Right.
Hey, Jules, I need you to say, make them say, nah,
Not
nah,
doing
nah, nah.
it. I'm not doing it. I mean, but overall, the press conference was very enlightening. And I was one of the biggest skepticals about hiring another OC with no experience, no play calling, and just having free reigns, and just the way that the conversation was. And then, and, I was one of the one who pushed back about having the coaching staff here from previous regime to OC and here, and the way they kind of put it together is the office in their eyes and where I took from it, it's not broken. It just needs to be adjusted and focused into one big unit and they can thrive forward. So they didn't want to have to tear it down to go forward. They just want to expand it and make
Hmm.
it better.
Basically, what their sentiment is that everyone's saying we have the players and we have the people in the building. We just need to have the right scheme to scheme around them.
Right.
So Berserk said I would expect him to give CJ authority to making audibles and adjustments, especially coming from Rams and Patriot systems. Jules just touched on that. I agree. Brandon, shout out Brandon in Houston, Texas, now with twice as much Nick.
You know what?
Shout out RG. Everybody knows him as racist. Go T Mike. B.O.B. in the house. He talking about Bill O'Brien. Is he thinks that Bill O'Brien and Nick Cayley are similar. I don't. You the only one that see that, brother. Killer Cal is shout out Killer Cal. I got a question, Killer Cal. We never thought you weren't going to support the H Town Rundown, just like we were going to support the Texans on 3 podcast, brother. As always, there's never a doubt. But appreciate you coming through as always. And he said 100% less. Damn it, Bobby.
Hey, You know, I'm one of the biggest Bobby haters from the
Mm.
time he was hired to the time he was let go. The problem with Bobby was he didn't know no more. He didn't know no more than what he knew,
Mm-hmm.
and so he couldn't get off of his scheme because then, and that's why with the Nick Cayley hire and the fact that he did go to a different offense and a different offensive mindset and discipline, he understood that you can't be stuck in one way, and that's why I'm kind of see if I can put him into the Ben Johnson role because when Ben Johnson got promoted to Detroit, he really didn't have a certain style or a certain system he grew up with. He grew up with Jared Goff and knew how to call plays, so that would be my comp and how he got from one offense to different offense, and now he's here to call plays. So that's my biggest comp to him. I think if he can master this offense and go for it, he could probably be the next Ben Johnson. And that's not a stretch, but that's the high level.
Yes, yeah, you reaching on that one.
I mean, you just go if you go to Ben Johnson's background and see where he came from. He didn't
Tight end.
really he didn't really have a OC on top of him that was really good or a guy who was really good. He kind of learned through golf and gone with golf and move up. So it's hello.
I mean, man was under Gates and with the Dolphins. So
Let me say this. Cal and Yvonne,
uh-oh.
y'all can do that offline.
It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. They could have their own little date.
Will you be? Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe.
So hold up. So
Check
we got
one box.
hold up. Wait a minute. So we have a pass notes for him.
Hey, will you
Hold
be?
on.
Will you
And
be?
that and look, and that paper was folded tight too. You talking about tight? It took an act of Congress to open that goddamn piece of paper.
That's how
Ain't
we
work.
caught about it.
Yeah, yeah, but you knew, hold up, you knew by the time it got to you, somebody was trying to open it.
Right, the rival.
Look, and then Brandon said, "I hope we interviewed enough people because I think there's 85% chance someone else hires Kaylee away as their head coach next year." So
Don't
this
worry
is
about
the
that.
thing.
When we get there.
Uh-huh. Hold on, don't hate on Cal YouTube game.
Hey, I mean, but like Brandon said, that D'Amico made that known 3-4 times. He exhausted. He interviewed college coaches. He interviewed
Mhm.
ex head coaches. He knew up and coming OCs and all that stuff. He exhausted and he zoned in on the energy that
Yeah,
Nick Haley had.
and they have an idea, of who. Because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if they announced it or not. Gerard Johnson is still on this team as quarterbacks coach.
Right.
So we will see. Yvonne, y'all doing more than speaking. Um,
Or did she mean they were speaking on the phone before this?
it's
What,
three. It's
what she
three.
mean?
No,
It's
you
three.
hang up first. No, you hang up first.
Yeah. No, you hang up on three. Hang up.
We got the H-Town rundowns on. So one of us got to hang up. No, I ain't hanging up. You hang up.
Look,
Okay.
man, Shep
Right.
talking about Texans rundown connection. Brandon, I'm just going down the comments and we'll go right into it. What we're gonna talk about today. 95% chance that they couldn't replace a couple of our current linemen.
I think
We'll talk about that as well. He say finna hit. Yeah. Nick Cayley definitely does cope.
no, he ain't out. He ain't Adam Gates. Okay, let's not put Adam Gates on them. The big eyes.
Yeah. Hey, Yvonne, hold on. Ivan, this is an upgrade over Big John.
Oh my God.
So
Let's get to the show.
definitely. So, of course, we got a 4-part series right now going on. That'll lead us right into the combine and into the free agency period. And it's called The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And in part 4, we will be turning the page into 2025. So we're going to do the reverse. We're going to start with the ugly. Let's start with the ugly. That nasty, that stank. When somebody fought and it just linger and it just get in your mouth. And you're like, God damn,
Oh,
why I gotta taste your shit?
You
Like,
got me, bro. You got me.
just that's where we at. We with the ugly right now. Ruben misses you, Jules.
I miss you, Ricky.
So that's where we at right now. We with the ugly, man. And we're gonna start off with Auntie Swan, who's gonna give her points on what she thought was ugly in 2025. Hold on, what, Mike? What? Oh, there you go.
Look at Bill O'Brien lever. Leave alone. We'll go.
You're not swarming.
Mike got a little voodoo doll of Nick Casario in his back pocket.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gone.
Well, apparently it's had a good voodoo doll because it ain't work.
I mean, I think only certain melanin people can work with certain melanin people. It don't work. It don't work unless you have a little melanin in your skin. Go ahead, Swan, with your two ugly points.
Yeah. So for me, I said there are injuries, and then there was lack of development with players, as well as inability to adjust or understand your personnel. So, in particular, that first game we had, week 1, the Colts, look good, you know, run game like we had one, we was all excited. Diggs got a couple touchdowns, so we thought we'd go cook. This home game week 2. Joe Mixon gets that hip drop tackle.
Ooh, yeah.
Which still won the game, but that did change things because that following week, we get to the ugly, was the Vikings. That game was disgusting. Everybody failed in that game, but worst off was, to me, the undisciplinedness of the O-line, the constant penalties. I think didn't he have like 11? Laramie did in the game or whatever it was. It was a high number. Then we play around with a couple of games. Then we have Nico tweaked his hammy initially. I think it was week 2 or either week 3, but it was when we played the Bills where he went down. And at that point, the offense started to sputter. Then, a few weeks later, we have Diggs that goes down. So we never really got the full complement of our offense to play together. And Bobby Sloyd could not figure out that he needed to adjust. And then when we needed the wide receivers to step up, it was a flash here and there at times, but for the most part, they really didn't contribute when we needed them to consistently. And I put that on there. And with the tight end situation, we had Brevin that got hurt before the season. Dalton Schultz was ass. I don't know if I can say that word, but that's what he was. I don't know how to sugarcoat it.
Well, you said it.
That's the understatement.
So for me, the frustration was as the weeks kept passing, there was no adjustment. The Jets game, Packers game, it's just the constant. Mm-hmm. And like I said, being undisciplined and not developing, seeing that there was not the development with the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, those
God damn it, Bobby.
We got to talk about the line. Once again, they not until week 18, where it looked like they finally figured something out. When he made an adjustment, but before then, too much money on that O-line, too many draft picks we spent on the O-line for them to play the way that they did, and for neither Bobby or the O-line coach, whether that was Strausser in addition to Popovich or whatever the case may be, it just was very underwhelming with the offense. And obviously CJ regressed, but he picked it up at the very end of the season. So but it was what it was.
So I appreciate that because we all about to piggyback off all that because we all gonna talk about every single point you just made, Swan. I do wanna. I don't need to address it, but it's funny because it's DJ, your friend Swan got on the space. I think it was yesterday, and said because they
Oh,
asked him about you. Yeah, they asked him about you, Swan, and DJ said me and Swan divorced, and that Swan played for the other team. And we all said, hold on.
What?
What are you talking about,
what the
DJ?
hell?
Exactly. So I don't know
Okay,
what
you
DJ is.
know what? We gonna table this. We'll deal with
Yeah.
this a little bit later. So
So clarification. No, she not playing for no another team. She's swarming all day with the Texans.
I only
Mm.
play with real sausages. That's the best way I can say that. Uh, make
Um,
sure I'm ding. So yeah. Yeah.
so Swan is steady swarming, y'all. She ain't
Mm.
never stopped swarming. Um, but Mike G, go ahead with your ugly
Yeah,
take.
I mean that's distressing news right ahead of Valentine's Day. But yeah, we're gonna piggyback off of some of Swan's points. Obviously, it's not like we're gonna say the ugly and bring up Lassiter or Stingley. We're balling the hell out all year. Um, I mean, you could point to a couple other guys in the secondary though. You got Jeff Okuda, who you know departed every time he came on the field. He was out the next play because he gave up a big play. Bullock, who turned out to be a really good value for us. Had 5 picks, was a ball hawking safety, and we were all happy when we took him. But he took some poor angles. He wasn't really disciplined. Um, but none of that really compares to the issues with the lack of in-game adjustments. I'll bring up a point, that Vikings game back in week 3, which I know we all can't wait to relive. Schultz gave up at least 3 sacks to Jonathan Grenard, and of course that was a big revenge game for him. And then turn around the last game playing the Chiefs. What? And sure enough, he gives up another 3 sacks to George Karlaftis.
Correct.
Putting Dalton Schultz out there on him. Like, not only was it consistently in game, but consistent over the course of the entire season. We didn't adjust to that. We had far too many condensed formations. I mean, you can go back and look at the all 22 film reviews that we did for every game, and over with the second down screens, over and over with the condensed formations, spread them out. So I'm happy we got Nick Caley in here to not put a square peg in a round hole, but actually make adjustments and adjust to the strengths of the personnel. I mean, just the responsibilities with the blocking, not only with the O-line, but with Schultz, was atrocious. So we got to turn the page on that. I mean, that's the main thing, the accountability too, where, guy like Schultz, who was showing no effort in blocking, you should have benched him for a game or benched him during the game. That would have sent a clear message. We said this throughout the season that, hey, players aren't really, aside from Okuda, nobody's really getting any sort of repercussions for.
Laremy Tunsil against the Vikings.
There you go. I mean, what do you have? 47 penalties in that game?
At least 47 yards.
Yeah. So the lack of accountability, the lack of in-game adjustments, and hopefully they send a clear message with Bobby getting on out of there.
And the O-line coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Strausser. I would say rest in peace, but that's morbid because he ain't dead, but he dead to us.
I mean, we used to have those spaces.
Oh yeah, we did have a lot of funerals. We had a funeral.
Yeah, Kirko, among others.
Justin Reed. No, not Justin Reed. Who was the other one? I don't know. We did have a funeral for what's his name? Christian
Kirksey for sure.
Kirksey, yeah.
There were a couple others. Yeah.
And before we move on, I do want to shout out our sponsor, BetUS, proud sponsor of the H-Town Rundown. BetUS, where the game begins. Y'all go ahead and click on this good old link right here. It's in the comments. Y'all go ahead and click that link in the comments and use this promo code right here. Join 125 where you can get up to 125% back on your first 3 deposits. BetUS, proud sponsor of the H-Town Rundown. And BetUS is where the game begins. You know it's basketball season, so y'all need to go ahead, put in those bets for the Rockets, man. Let's go ahead and have a good time with the Rockets. Um
Lion Johnson. He sure was.
yeah, it sure was Lonnie Johnson. And honestly, he never was heard from or seen from again. So that's on the next episode of Law and Order.
Until he came back to Houston. He was the first free agent, remember? Last year.
Mm-hmm. And then he didn't see the field. We signed him and got rid of him before we can even turn around. But definitely. So we'll go into my 2 points that I want to talk about. One, I think we've all touched on it and we all will continue to touch on it, which was a lot of, and I just said it a few minutes ago, it was an area of content, an area of concern from fans and media members because Nick Caley got asked that question about protection for the offensive line at least 4 to 5 times.
Right.
And that goes to my ugly of this season was the mismanagement and misuse of the offensive line. Not specifically identifying the problem until it was too late. Not moving on from Kenyon Green. If Kenyon Green was the problem, not moving on from Kenyon Green.
Correct.
If Titus was a better guard, why not play Titus at guard early? Why wait to week 14? 10? It was at week 10? I thought it was later than that.
Might have been 12, something like that.
I know it was after the bye week.
Right.
It was after the bye week.
When he got hurt, remember?
Yeah. Kenyon Green got hurt against the Jets.
Right.
But they didn't move Titus, and they still didn't move Titus right away. It took them another 2 or 3 weeks.
Was it after the break?
It was after the bye week, is what I'm saying. The bye week was week 14.
Right.
So it took you 14 weeks to make substantial changes to your offensive line. You know, moving Juice around, moving Jared Patterson around, moving Kendrick Green around, Shaq Mason, like all of these different things, the mismanagement and the non-consistency of the offensive line was super ugly. CJ got sacked 60, was it 50 something, 60 times?
That was 58.
58 times this year. Just, you can put some on CJ, but the offensive line did him no favors either. Especially on the interior. Constant pressure on the interior between center, guard. Lack of communication, which is something that Nick Caley preached. This funny.
Y'all keep saying y'all want to see my face, and then y'all want to see me show up. So I'm gonna show up like the big fun, you know what I'm saying? Like big and small, you know what I'm saying?
We just need the court gesture. Right there with you.
That's BT.
But definitely, man. The mismanagement of the offensive line and the lack of accountability with the offensive line. Mike just brought up a point about how there were no repercussions, there were no consequences for major mistakes. I brought up Laremy Tunsil in the Vikings game. That should have been a point of that should have been your opportunity. That was a prime opportunity. The game was out of hand. We weren't coming back in that game. Make a statement at that point in time. Put in Blake Fisher at that point in time. And just make a statement and show accountability and responsibility, for the offensive line. So that right there is was one of my real disgust. That put a sour taste in my mouth. For sure. And then Stresson said, "What's good, Jules on Cam?" And then we got, King Folker. The most annoying things is free rushers for 2 years. I ate a Bucks game 2 years ago. I agree. Just steady free rushers, man, and steady, mishaps that just happen just for no reason. For no, well, let me say not for no reason, but for it could have been prevented. And so that is the fault again of Bobby Slowick and Chris Strausser and whatever situation they had behind the scenes that nobody really knows, but we're all just assuming that they had kind of a monopoly or control, too tight, stronger grip of how blocking schemes and blocking were addressed in that offense. My second point was again going back to the lack of accountability. The discipline was horrible. Swan brought it up as well. I think we were top 5 in penalties this year. In penalties and penalty yards. I think we had a false start damn near every game. I think we also had a penalty on special teams every game. This was one of Frank Ross's worst seasons as a special teams coordinator. Just a lot of just stupid penalties at inopportune times, penalties that cost you the game, penalties that don't help you off, especially on offense. Because D'Amico, to his credit, D'Amico made sure that there weren't his defensive side of the football was disciplined. You didn't have many offsides. You didn't have many defensive holding. You didn't have many pass interference penalties. A majority and bulk of those penalties came on the offensive side of the football and special teams. So those things have to be addressed going forward. And hopefully Nick Caley is strict enough and demands, accountability from his players to make those adjustments and make themselves, more responsible and accountable so that we won't have these type of situations again, turning a 3rd and 3 into a 3rd and 8 because you can't hold your water. All pro left tackle got to get a jump. Well, he ain't all pro, never been all pro. Pro Bowl left tackle, supposed to be one of the tops in the league, top tackles in the league, can't hold his water because he always got to get a jump on the competition on the edge. Running the play clock to the very end when you calling plays late, causing delay of games. Not understanding, the role in your offense with the offensive line, causing holding penalties, causing, we even saw a tripping penalty this year. Like by Titus Howard, if I'm not mistaken, Titus had a tripping penalty.
Yeah.
So, it was just a clusterfuck of mistakes on offense that has to be better and taking more accountability. So other than that, I want to go ahead and let Jules go because if we don't let Jules go, he's gonna get he's gonna get his guards to come and tackle me and get me off because he is what Uncle Elroy say, he the king around here.
Whatever.
And he in that king chair and he up here barking orders behind the scenes, y'all.
Whatever,
But before you go, I do want to go to these quick comments really quick. Brandon said my pet peeve was calling the coverage that turned into an instant sack all year versus the Titans, leading them to allow Alligator sack Stroud while wearing jersey number 99 in NRG. How many big plays were nullified because we got bozos moving or jumping?
Yeah.
No
Nico
more
would have 5 more touchdowns at least.
no more throwing incompletes on 3rd and inches because our O-line is soft. Shout out Larry Payton. Smart, tough, dependable folks. King Folk, how many big players were notified because bozos were moving and jumping? But yeah, Jules, go ahead on your 2. Ugly.
Well, my first one is just the handle of Christian Harris, and the whole season of him being out for 14 weeks, 19 weeks. That he didn't play the last 2 games, and just the notion of how we walked to this season knowing that he was a budding star, that he showed promise the last 3 games of the season, the pick 6 against Cleveland, and it was hyped up that he finally turned the page. And D'Amico Ryans is the linebacker whisperer So we finally thought the second round pick that we're waiting for to really shine comes through. But then we get in the season, he has this major injury, and then it's not really told how long the injury is for or what the severe injury was. And we kept playing, where's Christian Harris? What's Christian Harris? And to me, the issue I had with the situation was, if the situation was going to take 14 weeks to heal or fix 14 fix, that should have been called that in the beginning of the season, and you find a linebacker in the all season and just let him heal for the year, instead of you waiting, and then went off for no setbacks, or he tore up more. We just didn't know anything, and our whole defense is based on our linebacker play. And then once you lost um, our linebacker safety part, JP, who's versatile, you really saw the clinks of this defense because you didn't have nobody who can cover the middle with the speed and the power and the attacking ability as these two guys that you kind of build up to be, which need. And then we lost Al Shear because of suspension. So I just think the handling of Christian Harrison's injury was a very big ugly for us. And my second one is this, and we're gonna have to let it put to shame, is the Minnesota Viking game was our biggest loss. But
It wasn't the biggest one.
Well, the most
The
heartbreaking.
second biggest loss.
Yeah, like we didn't put up a fight at all for that one. And my points were, that's where the biggest problem was, we got 34-7 blowout. First one is offense struggles. CJ had a rough day. He had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. The defense did what they wanted to do with the pressure. The offense couldn't block for him. The run game was non-existent. 460 yards rushing. The third down rolls, we couldn't convert. We think three first downs at 12 attempts. That's just horrible percentage. Our defenses had no answer for Sam Darnold. That was before Sam Darnold was pretty much a MVP candidate throughout the season, but still Sam Darnold hasn't been comfortable in that system yet. And the way he showed that he tore us up like he was Tom Brady or Peyton Manning in a heyday. We had huge tackling issues throughout the whole game. And these are guys that were good tacklers, and D'Amico really wanted certain guys to be in certain positions and higher and free agency because they were tackling guys and they knew how to fundamentally tackle, and they didn't show any of that in that game. Jonathan Gennard showed up. If anybody knew, because she knew how to block John Gennard, we should knew how to block John Gennard because we've got him 4 years. Of course, all season was slow starts, and then no points in third quarter or the second half. We couldn't make adjustments. We had costly turnovers and fumbles in session by CJ, and we had no big plays at all in the whole game because we couldn't move the ball. So that was, to me, just overall, the game was just a bad game. It was, to me, by far the ugliest game of the whole season, and I hope it's not it's going to be the ugliest game we ever have again under Miko Ryans.
Well, I hear your point about it being the ugliest game, but I will counter that with what the hell we put on tape and on the field on Christmas Day.
Oh yeah.
We didn't even score any offensive points. We scored 2 points on a safety.
I get you. I understand that, but when you repeatedly have linebackers guarding arguably the best receiver in the game repeatedly with defense assignments, that's encourageable. That's just bad football.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't pick up a stunt to save our life.
Not at all.
That was all season, though.
Yeah, but it was the worst in that game. But yeah.
So there's a comment here talking about Stover may benefit the most, which is Mike. From the coaching change. I mean, I agree, but I think all tight ends will benefit from Nick Haley's change in offensive, scheme and everything, how he operates. Nick Haley did mention he wanted to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is pause worthy what I'm about to say, but he got a hard on when he brought up Joe Mixon. He was gushing about Joe Mixon, and just the ability. You see what he wants to do and where he's going to thrive. I think we're going to see a lot of production from the tight ends. I think we're going to see Joe Mixon probably have a career year. Going into next season, just based on the comments that he had, in the in the press conference. And then shout out Alexis. We good. We good. Hope you doing okay. And stay away from Mr. Invisible. Um, and then Houston Stress said simulated pressures cracked the Slowick code in that game. I mean, a lot of shit cracked the Slowick's code. You know. But other than that, man, I'm really, really excited. I do have an honorable mention for the ugly. And it was that, you know, Carter concert on Christmas Day. That was ugly to me. I could have did without that shit. Shout out to Beyonce and her $2,000 tickets that she's selling for the 2 days in Houston in June. But yeah, that Cowboy Carter halftime concert was ass.
I mean, do we want to bring up the halftime show if we're going to talk about that?
Oh Lord.
What you want to talk about? The fascination of a light skinned man is what it should have been called.
Mustard. Oh, sorry.
That's what it. They say the pimp a butterfly, the fascination of a light skinned man.
I thought it was pretty good, but it could have been a little better.
Could have been, should have been.
There's a couple of songs that should have been on there,
but definitely, man. I want to see if y'all have any other honorable mention uglies y'all want to talk about, and we ain't talking about them girls off Bissing their jewels.
No,
we ain't talking about them Mike, RG Mike. We ain't talking about none of them ones. You be,
we all know Tidwell has the worst women on the corners. Let's not even go there.
Talking about Jensen? You talking about Jensen?
No, I'm talking about Tidwell, 59. We don't know. Those women are way worse than
Talking about West Tidwell?
Yes. East Tidwell too, partner.
But
That's that north side. That's that north side beauty right there.
I mean, yeah, you just say a couple. Anybody else? I mean, Shaq Mason all season. Chris Boyd, who played 5 snaps a game and somehow gets a penalty every week. Yeah.
The push by
hashtag he gone.
Push by Boyd. Now, who pushed the coach?
Yeah, that was
Ross, right?
No, that was Chris Boyd.
That was Chris Boyd from UT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Losing at home versus Lions after forcing 5. Yes. Yes. Y'all drop in the comments y'all ugly moments. That's what I need y'all to do.
Hey, don't forget about the game we had 9 sacks and still off the game.
Lord.
There's plenty.
Wasn't that against the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Will Levis had a career year.
Need D'Amico to also coach more to win, not to lose. That was a Bobby Slowick problem more than a D'Amico Ryans problem. Which again is why you see Bobby Slowick no longer as the offensive coordinator.
Do you think if week 3 that loss to Minnesota in the fourth quarter, he says, Bobby, go to locker room, you think that does anything?
Hell no. It just causes national attention for nothing. You're setting the wrong records. He said he disagrees with that. Okay. We can disagree. We can agree to disagree, but I'm telling you, that's more of a Bobby Slowick situation because if you look defensively, D'Amico didn't do anything defensively to not win games or play not to win. So I think he was aggressive all the time. Yep. Every missed extra point was ugly. Swan, where you at, Swan? Where you at, Swan? I know you enjoying the chicken, but where you at, Swan?
All right.
And this is your prime time, which I'm super surprised she did not say Kaimi Fairbairn was one of her uglies. Because Hawaiian Punch is her go-to.
That's been a punching bag for years.
Texans set a lot of records for games that no one has lost. 5 turnovers, Lions game, 9 sacks, Tennessee game, KFC playoff game. Yeah, that was.
I'm going to be always on my list. To,
Swan from the
I
top
just
rope.
want to stay on, on point. I gave mine. I didn't want to go down that road, but actually, I will disagree on the Vikings. I do blame that game on D'Amico as well because I do not understand why Stingley was not covering Jettas. So he had some blunders there. I felt like everybody was still in back in Houston at Bush. I don't think nobody arrived at the game. So, and we're not gonna. And then you forgot the other ugly, the Lions game. You took it down.
There's stresses. Put that one up.
Stresses brought it up.
Okay.
The Tennessee game with the 9 sacks, he brought it up as well.
Yeah, but Jared had 5 interceptions. He didn't have that all season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3. I think he had 3 going into the game.
Yeah. He hadn't had 5 all season yet.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I'll say that for
another day.
Yeah.
No, I'll say that for the good.
So, all of that. Hold on. Look. Brandon say, yeah, we went from having good records in year 1 to bad records in year 2. And he talking about Green Bay. Yeah, we brought up the Green Bay game as well. Right. Someone brought up the Green Bay game. But definitely, let's talk about it, Jules. What other NFL news do we have?
So we got the Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers. We have a crazy rumor about Trevor Lawrence and being traded to the Steelers. That's a crazy rumor. I've talked to Steeler fans and said that's not happening. Some Jag fans saying they want to happen. Some Jag fans say they don't want to happen. Some Jag fans saying he been fool's gold since they drafted him and they want to reset and they just want to go for him. But everybody kind of putting down. But the fact that it is having a little smoke in here, it makes a good rumor right now when there's not a lot of news going on. Kellen Moore got his new host AC at New Orleans. Myles Garrett requested for a trade, and that's a big talking point. Everybody trying to figure out is Cleveland actually going to trade him, and what is his? Because he's a future Hall of Famer, and his prime of his years. What is his trade value? And is it going to be? Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this because I said and I got a lot of traction on it, but the Neil Hunter for Myles Garrett in 25.
Okay. Okay.
I'll just put that out there.
All right. Then let's talk. There a couple of Cowboy fans, Cowboy players have been interviewed in a while, and they're talking about they're very close to winning the Super Bowl, as they talk about, and then they even talking about how they play the Eagles well. So I did my research. But
Michael Parsons.
I'll pull the game up. The first game they played was 34-6 Eagles, and the second game was 41-7 Eagles. So I don't know what the Cowboys drinking up in Dallas. The fans have it, the players have it, the GM and the head coach and the owner has it. They just delusional about who they truly are and where they at in this situation. But that's what they have. And last but not least, Bobby Shook was hired as a passing coordinator for Miami, and I'm very happy for the young man.
Yep.
So, not only you forgot one more, Jules, that the Tennessee Titans may be taking Abdul Carter #1 overall.
That's the rumor too. And it's Lion season right now, so everybody got something to say right now.
It would just bless my soul for the Tennessee Titans to take Abdul Carter #1 overall. For the Titans to pass on the quarterback again. Oh, that was just
let's go for 400 yards against us again and out of whim.
On a whim, look, they always got to turn up for us. Mm-hmm. But it bless my soul because they'll be right there picking #1 again next year.
Right. Even to take a quarterback, they still may be picking.
Mm-hmm. Top 10. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons wants Abdul Carter. And hell, would you trade for Jeffrey Simmons?
Nope.
You wouldn't trade for Jeffrey Simmons?
Nope. Okay.
Good one. Real quick.
No. Not because of talent. It is because what it would take to get him, I would not give up.
Now, if you
You
could talk them into doing something
no, you
stupid,
can't. No, okay, then you don't understand the history. They don't like each other. Hannah and them don't even like each other. So you know that woman ain't want to give up the uniforms. You know she ain't finna trade and get that guy to us. That's what I'm saying. This I don't even entertain that
Let me
because
say this.
it's not even possible.
We all grown here, right?
Mm.
We've all had situations where we got in bed with somebody we ain't like, but we did what we had to do to get the
Without
job
hate.
done.
No.
But we did what we had to do to get the job done, Swan.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes let's get in bed with somebody we don't like and just get the job done.
You get in that bed, you do
um,
but
Larry Payton put his ugly. He said the injured wide receiver room again. I do agree. Um, this has been, kind of routine for us the last few years. Hopefully, we can break that curse going forward, and we can make some different moves. As far as the wide receiver room, just a reminder for our Texan fans: Monday is an important day for the Houston Texans and Stephon Diggs. If the Houston Texans do not have come to an agreement with Stephon Diggs by Monday on President's Day, the Houston Texans will incur a $16.4 million cap hit for Stephon Diggs. So that does come into play whether the Texans can create cap space or they'll have to eat that 16.4 million cap hit. So right now it's not looking like he's going to re-sign or restructure or redo his contract and stay with the Texans. So we will see what that is, but that is a big important day for the Houston Texans and their cap space. Brandon, Texans need guys on rookie deals. Yeah, that's why we need draft picks.
mm-hmm.
Um, we can play around with that scenario when we get in the draft season and draft hell. But yeah, again, yeah, likely Diggs is gone. I agree, but we will see. You never know. They may pull a rabbit out their hat. They may be a magician, not a musician, a magician.
that dude
Um,
going to play with his brother. I've been telling y'all that since last year.
yeah. Why is it looking like Diggs won't stay right now? Again, Alexis, they have to come to an agreement by Monday. It is Thursday, and it's been quiet as a
But
rat
they don't
pissing on
leak
cotton.
nothing. We don't. They don't leak nothing anyway. So
They don't leak it, but it's been a
no.
lot of reports. I remember Jonathan Alexander was on with Houston Stressings on yesterday, and he was talking about he gave the sense from him on the inside. He gave the sense that that deal is likely not to happen. Um,
Well, unless that deal is
you
unless
know,
that is from
we will.
Diggs.
I'm just we yeah. Right now, we just reporting what has been reported from people that have more access than we do. That's all we can go. We can, like I just said, they may pull a rabbit out the hat. We never know. But again, we just waiting and seeing. They're speaking of Diggs deadline. Casario let the void year timeline pass on Schultz last year too. Don't want to go down there.
But it
Um,
wasn't 16 million.
yeah.
And we money
Um,
then.
I do think Diggs wants to go play with his brother. Which is probably likely to happen. It doesn't help. To be honest with you, it won't help. From my perspective, it ain't gonna help neither one. It ain't gonna help Stephon Diggs and it ain't gonna help the Cowboys.
Yeah, if that's the case, he didn't want to win.
No,
So
he trying to go out right off in the sunset with his brother. And fuck Cardi B. But
Hey,
you know, other than that, man, I don't know what Jules disappeared from his throne. Um, but I do appreciate everybody coming through on our first part of our 4-part series. The good, the bad, the ugly. What we talked about the ugly, and next week we will be talking about the bad. It was some things that happened that were bad, but could be improved on. Some things that we saw that were negatives that this year turn into positives. So we will talk about all of those things again on next week. So appreciate everybody coming through in the chat. Appreciate all of y'all giving y'all comments, speaking your mind. We appreciate it all here at the H-Time Rundown. Again, before we sign off, I do want to, shout out our sponsor, BetUS, giving you this link right here. BetUS, who's a proud sponsor of the H-Time Rundown. Y'all go ahead, put some money on Texans Super Bowl odds for next year. Go ahead and make that money. Make them. I think we plus 3,500 for to appear in the Super Bowl next year. Y'all go ahead and place that bet and make you a good cool $3,500 going into next year. Using the promo code JOIN125. Again, that's JOIN125. When you get up to 125% back on your first 3 deposits, Bet US. Proud sponsor of the H-Town Rundown, Bet US, where the game begins. Shout out to my co-host, Jules, who disappeared. Auntie Swan and Mike G. We appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.
Peace.